Are you trying to figure out how to get things done? Are you trying to look for knowledge that can actually help you do something, be better at what you do? Hi, I'm Joyce Mbaya, founder of ZD, where we provide affordable online courses for Africa. This is the place for you, the ZD podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with amazing people. And the ultimate goal is to help you know more so you can do more.
Welcome to the ZD podcast. And today we have a special guest with us, and you are going to hear more about him as we proceed. But firstly, of course, as usual, I'm Boniface Otomwa. I'm the project manager ZD, and I'm also here with my colleague who I'm going to give a chance to introduce himself.
Hi guys, welcome to another week of the No More podcast. I'm Kevin Kabingu, background audience, the guy with the questions. I'm happy to be in this week's episode. I'm happy to have you here, our guest. His name is Alex. He'll introduce himself more, but he has a very interesting story. I hope you learn from it.
Thank you, Kevin. So, Alex, thank you for taking your time to join us today. It's a pleasure, of course, hosting you on the CD podcast. And I know we are going to learn a lot from you, more so on the area that you cover. There's no great or even awareness on this subject. It's not so much like on other areas. So we're so glad at least to get educated and even get to learn more. But even before we zoom into that area, we just want to get to know first, who is Alex? Where did he grow up? Where did he go to school? Like, what was his life like?
Okay, morning Boniface and Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here to join the ZD team. And as usual, we are always creating content for learners, and we'll be diving more into that. So how do I describe Alex? Kenyan boy, just grew up in what I would call a typical Kenyan background. So most of my life, I think, was outside Nairobi for the first, I think, probably about 12 years. So I've lived in many towns in the country. I remember there's a time where we were staying in Bondo, in Garissa. Wow. I grew up at some point with my grandparents in Embu. I moved to Meru for primary school, went to boarding in Embu, went back to Meru for high school at Meru School, before I went to Baraton University, that's in Eldoret. So I've had a lot of crisscrossing around the country. My education background. And in the course of that, I think in the course of that travel, one of the things which I noted, I think I was quite afraid sometimes of traveling, because I used to see the way vehicles are driven, and I was wondering, all these journeys, will it end without an accident? Because I was thinking it is almost imminent. So I think. So
you never took the front seat? Did you ever?
Hardly. Yes. So I can say that safety consciousness has always been at the back of my mind. Yes, for a very long time.
Wow, but you have never been in an accident, right?
Of course I have. Which Kenyan has not been in an accident?
Not you causing it.
Yes.
But someone else, like you were in the vehicle and then someone else caused it.
Yes, I think I've also been involved in a few fender benders, reversing into something or taking a corner, something. And a lot of near misses. I think the life of a Kenyan driver is that you learn so much more when you're on the road than in driving school, and that's one of the things that we are trying to change. That you learn more in your training and less on the road.
Okay.
Yes.
So you finished, of course, Baraton University. Let me ask, by that time, had you taken a driving course, or after universities when you decided to go and do a driving school?
During university, when I was just about to graduate, so I just turned 18. So that's when I went to driving school during one of the holidays.
Alex, wait, you graduated from university when you were turning 18?
Yes, because I remember I need to check the years, but I remember by the time I was graduating, I had a license. I think I took it one holiday before the final semester.
You learned so quickly.
Yes, and I mean, it was so easy. Within 2 weeks, I had a license. I just went
2 weeks.
For those. Yes, I had finished my classes. So that tells you about the standards.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and nowadays it's a bit longer. Wow, 2 weeks you had the license, and then you finished now. University. What did you study in university?
So I studied automotive technology. So one of the reasons I was looking for a license is, so that when you are doing attachments, you're able to drive the car. Or maybe for test drive or around the workshop. You are looking for a job. So one of the first things, a license is an added. It's a requirement, not even an added advantage.
It is, of course. Yes, that is your industry.
Exactly.
Wow. So you finished. Then what happened? So your first job, where do you get your first job?
So I finished at that point. Jobs were a bit hard to come by. So I'd applied for internship at Marshall's. And I was going to, do it for free without any pay.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, in December of, what was it? Was it 2004? Yes.
2004, and the jobs were still hard to get.
Yes, a bit hard to get. I don't know the situation. I think these days it's a bit harder.
Yeah, definitely.
But by coincidence, a friend of mine saw an advert for City Hopper who was looking for management trainees. So I applied. I was called for an interview. I think a week later, I went, got the job offer, and by January, instead of starting at Marshall's, I was starting off at City Hopper. Yes, that time City Hopper was just starting out. Yeah, so I was there for 2 years, and City Hopper was managing both the City Hopper buses and Dolphin buses. So Dolphin was doing the upcountry routes, and then City Hopper was doing the town routes. So most of that time I was working in the workshop, assisting managing the workshop. And I think by the time I was leaving, there was about 200 buses plus, over 200 buses. Because the town buses alone were almost 200, and then the upcountry ones were about 40. So it was well over 200 buses that we were managing at that time.
Okay.
I also the drivers receiving some form of training. I saw some of the incidents and accidents that we had to handle. So we had to handle a lot of people issues and try and come up with, some measures to try and mitigate, some of the things that we were facing as we were running that fleet.
Wow. Okay, that is incredible. So then you finished now City Hopper, and then where do you go next now?
As you're answering that, also, what are the lessons you learned from City Hopper? Because I'd like to know how public transport industry also influenced you in coming into what you do now.
I think part of the learnings at City Hopper was just a lot of resilience, because that time City Hopper was a very busy operation. So the vehicles were being maintained and serviced at night. And then on the day they were on the road. So basically for most of those 2 years, I was working a night shift like a security guard. So would arrive at the workshop at 8 o'clock, leave at 6 in the morning. So that was a very busy time, and also a lot of learning. One of the things which I think I learned with public transport is that there's so many challenges once you enter that sector, because you are dealing with demanding customers, you're dealing with competition, you're dealing with sometimes police and in some areas even criminal gangs. So it was quite challenging. And then especially the quality of the drivers that come through, because most of the drivers who are being employed were from the matatu industry. So trying to turn their perspective, turn them into professional drivers was quite a challenge. And I think, later on, it became very difficult to maintain same standard that City Hopper had started with. So, and then at that point, part of the training, we started including some maintenance training. So that's how I think I started now getting pulled into training, because as the drivers were being taught about the traffic laws and those other things, then there was a part where someone from the workshop would come and tell them about the maintenance bit and taking care of the workshop, of the vehicle. So that's when I started, joining the training programs to assist the trainers. And then as I was covering this content, I think I got to listen to what they were being trained on the other side of operating or driving a public service vehicle. So I think now started also, strengthening the roots of the training direction that I was to take on later in life. Yeah.
You discovered that you had a gift, because I think it's a gift to be able to consume knowledge and then be able to deliver it in a way that other people can understand. And so, of course, you leave City Hopper, but at least you have discovered that I do have a strength in this area of training. So where do you go next now after you leave City Hopper?
I think by the time I was leaving City Hopper, I wouldn't say I knew that I had a strength in training. I just knew I could do, public speaking. Train. I don't have an issue, standing in front of people and, delivering content. But then after I left City Hopper, when I joined Toyota is when now I knew there's something in training. Because when I joined Toyota, I was supporting now on the fleet management roles. Now this includes, handling all the corporate accounts who have signed up for maintenance contracts with Toyota. So there you are handling a lot of the corporates, the Safaricom, EABL, the KCB, Ketepa, a lot of those corporates. And then the role now also grew to include leasing. And leasing, as leasing grew, then also the government started leasing. So now the program was just becoming bigger and bigger. And also at some point we also had, we were handling dealers, because now the maintenance program, more than half of it was being carried out by dealers around the country. So we had to train them on the processes and the standards that need to be followed. So I'd say at City Hopper is where now that training really came to the fore, because I even got an opportunity to do the trainer program called Center of Excellence.
That is at Toyota, not City Hopper.
Yes, within Toyota. Yes.
Yeah.
So that Center of Excellence was very thorough as far as getting trainers, because they were trying to get trainers to handle various topics within the business. And I was among the top 3 in the business who were able to make it to the end. So when I finished that is when I knew, then this training thing, I think I like it and I can do it. And then the more I trained, the more people would say, "Hey, Alex, that thing, there's a way you do this thing that you have a gift in this space." So at that point is when I became much more intentional. And then in the course of doing the fleet management, of course, you're handling many groups of drivers.
Yeah.
So at some point, I attended a defensive training myself. And then as we were handling other fleets, I realized there are many other, companies who've not, drivers who've not accessed this training. So I would repackage the content and try and explain it to them the way I understood it.
Yeah.
So eventually I started doing defensive driving on and off. And I realized there's actually a gap in this space. So I actually started side hustling as a defensive driver training while I was still working at Toyota.
Yeah. So is this how the Advanced Mobility Center was born?
No, that time it was just called Advanced Mobility Center. Yes, so it had a different name. That time it was going under the name Jamii Safety, because my wife runs a safety business. So I just picked, her business name, because it was just a few times if I would need to invoice. So I didn't see the need to register a business then.
Okay.
Yeah, so for a number of years, in any proposal sending out was reading Jamii Safety.
Jamii Safety.
Yeah, because I saw, it's still safety business, so I can ride on that name, and I don't need to register a different name. Yes.
Okay. So when then was Advanced Mobility now officially named, and when did you establish this business now?
So I would say Advanced Mobility was born during COVID.
Aha.
So 2020, when now business was, everything was slowing down. So I got an opportunity now to take an entrepreneurship course. And that was in January of 2020. So by the time I was finishing it in June, it was clear that this fleet management and driver training needed a brand of its own and a direction of its own. So in June of 2020 is when now Advanced Mobility was registered.
And yes. I had seen that you have this goal, and maybe you can be able even to clarify to us. So now since 2020, I saw your goal that in the next 5 years, you intend to train at least 25,000 road users.
Yes.
So where are you when you look at those numbers? Can you be able to give us like a rough estimate of how many people you have managed to train since you started?
Okay, so Boniface, I'll say right now we are still in the startup phase.
Aha.
So I think since we started training, we've trained probably maybe just over 200 drivers physically. I need to confirm between 200 and 300.
Okay.
And then now the process of developing the e-learning content also took a while. Yes, because we started preparing that within 2020 and we were finishing in 2021 the first course. And then now putting it on a platform and everything else. So right now on the e-learning platform we are to reach 100 learners. But now is when we've really started now marketing it and trying to get partnerships so that we're able to train as many people as possible, because the one thing we saw is that if we need to scale, we need to embrace digital.
Yes.
And with e-learning, we're able to get people at their convenience and on a wide scale.
Okay.
Because physical learning, you're limited to
location, the number of people.
The number of people can attend.
Logistics.
Yeah, so there's a lot of challenges with that. And with the defensive driving e-course by Advanced Mobility, it is the first, defensive driving class available to an individual in Kenya.
Wow.
Yes.
That is so good.
Because right now, any of the defensive driver training that is being done in Kenya is mainly targeted at organizations. That you need to be a certain number of people in a class to call the organization to come and do training for you for a day or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So it is not made for.
It's not flexible.
You cannot just show up and pay money and be trained by yourself.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So one of the innovations that Advanced Mobility has done is that right now you can log on to the portal, start the e-learning by yourself at your own time. And then when you finish, you book for a day for the practical. And when you finish that, you will get your certificate of completion. So that's the big difference that Advanced Mobility has introduced in that space.
And also the difference is it's very affordable, right?
Definitely, it's also very affordable because it doesn't have all the
booking
training costs of training, venues and meals, and days of work and the trainer themselves being there physically. So
it even saves, in fact, it's affordable financially and also even time-wise. Like you save a lot of time. You don't have to travel to a place. You can do it at your own convenience, even at night.
Yes, the convenience is on another level, and also the cost is more effective than a physical training. Yes.
So so Advanced Mobility now creates, of course, a defensive driving course. And it's an e-learning course where someone can log in, go through it, and once they finish, they can book time for the practical. They do the practical, and then they're given a certificate. Now, this defensive driving, who
Yes.
is eligible to come and go through this program?
So defensive driving is an advanced course.
Mm.
It is an advanced driving course. So basically what that means is just a fancy name for saying that you need to have a license before you come to do a defensive driving course.
Mm.
We are not a driving school, so we are not teaching you how to drive.
Mm.
We are teaching you how to drive better and how to make decisions.
Mm.
So that's the main requirement. Number one, you need to already have a driving license.
Mm.
And then we normally require at least you have a driving license with a year of driving experience.
Mm.
So why is this important? Because we are teaching you decision making. So a lot of times, if you are straight from driving school and you jump into this, then you might miss out on some of the lessons that we will be explaining, because a lot of it we use your own experiences as a driver, your own challenges that you faced in the class situation. So there's a lot of, interaction, because remember, this is adult learning. We are not putting you in a class and just pumping information into you. We're also pulling out your own experiences and blending it with the learning that we're offering, so that someone is able to know what they need to do or what changes they need to effect once they are through with the class.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, there are even some of the worrying statistics that I've seen, and one of them was that over 90% of road fatalities are attributed to human error. And
yes,
and this is very concerning, knowing that over 90% of the accidents that happen could have been avoided. Like, I had a very bad incident last month. My relatives were traveling from Nakuru to Nairobi. When they got to almost Limuru, they were hit by a lorry. Of course, the three of them died on the spot, and it's because of the human error from the other driver. Yeah, you see. So when I read and see the statistics that over 90% are caused by human error, and this cause can actually enlighten and help them to be able to avoid. Because I see some of the content that you cover in the course, we do talk about how to avoid distractions. You talk about impaired driving. You talk about reaction time. By the way, could you touch a little bit on the reaction time, if you can, like maybe in 30 seconds, like reaction time? For example, I saw on the new highway, what's the name? It's the
Nairobi Expressway.
Nairobi Expressway. You have seen some of the accidents that are happening there, and then I saw someone going in a speed of 220. Like, for that now, if they were to meet an emergency, the reaction, will they even be able to stop?
They won't even be able to react. Because when one of the concepts you've mentioned, is reaction time. And we're able to give you a clear breakdown on what is a normal reaction time for a human being when someone is alert. That would normally be 0.75 seconds between something happening and your brain processing and you reacting to the situation. There are a number of things which can affect this, including if you're impaired, for example, if you are unwell, if you are fatigued, if you are drunk, if you are engaged in thoughts, maybe you had an argument with your wife, or you are trying to look for school fees. So all those things will delay the reaction time. Yes. So even before you apply the brakes, for example, then there's so we call reaction time. Basically affects the stopping distance of a vehicle. So the stopping distance is combined of, number one, the thinking distance, how long it took for you to react, and then the braking distance, how long it took now for the vehicle to stop. And one of the things we like pointing out is that all this time, in case you are distracted, even with a mobile phone, the vehicle is still moving. The vehicle is still moving. And we're able to do calculations for you that at a certain speed, how many meters are you covering per second while the vehicle is still moving and you've not started reacting. And then once you start, let's say you decide to press on the brakes, then how much longer does it take for the vehicle to stop? So this is affected by things like the weather conditions, the condition of the vehicle itself, the condition of the road, and the load as well that is being carried. So there are so many factors that contribute to a lot of the accidents we see. One of the surprising things people realize is that you can actually overload a vehicle by having underinflated tires, which means that the same behavior that vehicle would have when it is overloaded, it will have the same behavior if the tires are underinflated, even if it is not overloaded. So things like, loss of steering control, increased braking distance will all be happening just because someone has underinflated tires. Those are some things that we are never taught in driving school.
I have two questions, and then we can be able now to finish. And then we will end that part where we dropped off, because I had you finish on that area.
Okay.
When you were talking about the reaction time, and I wanted to know, for now, for me, like a driver, this is Nairobi Expressway. There is no traffic; it's open. Why should I not go with 220? Is that wrong, or what do you say to someone who's driving at that speed?
I think number one, it is illegal, because right now I think the speed limit for the expressway is 110 kilometers. Yeah. Some sections it's even 80. But if we were to do just a small calculation, so you are saying the person was doing what, 225, if I remember? 220. Okay, I've gotten a calculator here. We've said the average reaction person of a human being is 0.75 over a second.
0.7. Yeah.
When you are not distracted. So at a speed of 220 kilometers, this person is covering 61 meters per second.
Oh, wow.
So 61 meters is almost the length of a football field per second. So by the time, if something was to happen, even if another vehicle was to swerve into their lane, they don't even have enough stopping distance, because even a small vehicle moving at that kind of a speed probably requires anything between almost 500 meters of stopping distance.
Wow!
Before you even count the reaction time. So we are talking about this person who needed over 600 meters.
That is dangerous.
To be able to bring that vehicle to a stop from the time something happens. So I don't know if he has 600 meters clear ahead of him to be able to be doing that kind of a speed.
Wow. That is definitely going to be an accident. It can't be avoided.
That one, even if, for example, he gets a tire puncture, because a lot of times we think we're in control, that we are very alert, but there are so many things which are beyond our control. You could get a tire burst, or you could get any other incident on the road. Someone could change lanes without indicating, or someone ahead of you could get a tire burst and swerve into your lane. Someone could drop something. We've seen videos where luggage comes over another vehicle and falls ahead of you. That person will not have time to react at that. Yes. So that's extremely dangerous, and there's a reason why you find such a road has that kind of a speed limit. That's why you find even in built up areas the speed limit is 50 kph. If it's an area around a school or a residential area, it's actually 30 kph. Because any accident above 50 with a pedestrian is almost always fatal. Yes. So there's so many risks that someone is taking by doing that kind of an incredible speed.
I never took it that serious until we did the math, and then it's hitting me like no one has 600 meters for stopping distance to stop.
Yes.
It's almost like guaranteed that there will be an accident if something happens on the way. So listeners, if you are listening and you love speed, we all love speed. Please be aware that there are many things that can go wrong on the road. Even if you are very alert, maybe a tire burst. So I think it's important to keep up with the speed limits that the professionals have set on the road. If it's 180, 110, not 180. If it's 80, if it's 50. So that you are in safe hands. And also they do that while calculating, of course, your reaction time and if the stopping distance that you may require. So that is why they do that. They don't put the speed limits to punchers. Wow, thank you so much, Alex. And the last thing I had read, you had shared on even about the course, was that 93% of drivers believe that they are better than the average driver. And that is also very worrying. Like, you believe you are better than the driver that is next to you. And I think that's why people sometimes do dangerous maneuvers and such things. They overtake carelessly because they believe that they are able to do it and escape an accident. And of course, this is also what leads to the accidents that happen. Or even when you are overtaking dangerously, of course, you're also going to confuse the driver that is ahead of you. So, wow. So, guys, this is a course you must go through. So, if you are a driver, and it says 93% of drivers believe that they are better than the average driver. So, I know all of us, because we have been driving, and we say, I know I have experience, maybe you have had the near misses and you believe in yourself. But once you go through this course and you see, you experience even the calculations, Alex shares the calculations even in the course, so that you are able to know that if I'm going at this speed, this is what I'm playing with. This is what can happen, and this is how I can stop it. So he shares a lot. He talks about how you can be able to work with pedestrians on the road. He talks a lot about how managing sleep loss, vehicle blind spots, which we have not covered. You need a driver sitting position. You need to know how you can correctly sit. And drivers, don't forget, as I say, most believe that they're better than the rest. So it's important, once you go through the course, then you'll be able to understand exactly what is going on. How can I be able to drive to protect not only myself, but the other driver, but also the pedestrians on the road. So Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And I will be sharing the link to the course under the podcast, so that, guys, you can check it out and have a look at it. It's a must. And once you finish going through the course, you have an opportunity to book for the practical. And then after that, of course, Advanced Mobility is certified to give you a professional certificate that you can use anywhere. So Alex, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And we will talk again. And I will invite you again now. We will pick a specific topic, and then we dive deep into that, so that at least we help create more awareness even for our drivers on the road.
Definitely. We look forward to having more discussions, so that we can be able to educate all kinds of road users. We don't just target drivers, we also target pedestrians, passengers, riders. Basically, as long as you use a road, then you are a stakeholder in the road safety equation. And with our e-course, it also has an assessment, so we're able to gauge that you actually went through the content and before you join us for the day of practical. And anyone who would like to get in touch with us, I think our course is on the ZB portal, and they can also reach us on advancedmobility.co.ke. On Twitter and Instagram, we are ADV Mobility AF, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, we are Advanced Mobility Africa. So thanks so much, Boniface, for having me today, and we look forward to improving the challenges for fleet operators and road users in Kenya into success stories.
By the way, you also do fleet management, right?
Yes. We do fleet management. It goes hand in hand with the road safety, because a lot of fleet operators don't have structures and systems to handle the operation. So most of them are losing a lot of money, especially in terms of handling fuel, handling spare parts, and just basically managing drivers. So our approach is that fleet management is a strategic function, and when it is executed correctly, it actually becomes a competitive advantage. So we encourage anyone who is having drivers or having vehicles to engage us for that discussion. And by the way, for your information, we also supporting Strathmore Business School in their fleet management course. So that shows you that there is actually a big business need for people who are running fleets to set up systems and structures. And that's what we do. We help them cut their costs and improve their profitability.
Wow. Thank you. So listeners, as you have heard, they also cover on fleet management and those other areas. If you have a need, you can reach out to their website or even Instagram and LinkedIn or social media platform. They are basically there. But if you Google advancedmobility.co.ke, you will find their website and their details there. So, in fact, just want to give you a chance. I don't know if you can you be able to give your phone number, the one for the advanced mobility, so that if you call, they will just call.
Problem.
Because I know some people, sometimes they don't want to go to the website. They just want to call. Yeah, you can go ahead and give them.
Yes, our WhatsApp and mobile phone number is 0777 848 008.
Thank you, Alex. And so, guys, thank you for listening to our podcast, and stay tuned for the next one.
This week's episode has come to an end, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like and share, comment, get involved. Let us know what you think, what you want to learn next, and join us next time.